Well, good evening, everyone. Sorry for the last minute late post. I usually do this earlier in the day, but I've had a pretty busy day. Starting to move around a lot more. My hip is healing nicely. Not as fast as I want it to, but it's healing the way it's supposed to. But I'm been able to do a little more stuff. So got caught up doing a bunch of paperwork today and forgot about this. I thought about it earlier and then forgot about it. I remembered it for tonight. So I just thought, well, I want to be consistent. So here I am on Tuesday evening. Imagine a lot of you are driving home from work. So I'm sorry about this. I'm still trying to find a good time to be doing these posts. So just keep doing them. And if you don't catch this, you can also go to my YouTube channel, Healing the Man Within, subscribe to it, and there's probably over 100 videos on there by now, different topics I've discussed, so on and so forth. So anyways, back to the solution, part 6, choosing a support group. I know I touched on this briefly before, a couple weeks ago, as I did with a therapist, and last week I went a little deeper into getting a therapist. After doing some research and so on and so forth. So I've kind of done the same thing, but with getting a support group, which is critical. The one thing about recovery is you can't do it alone. Sorry about the dogs, just the way it is right now. I apologize for that. I'm doing this from my home. What that tells me is my wife might be home. Anyways, we can't do recovery alone, no matter what it is, and it takes more than just a therapist a lot of times. So, as much as adult survivors need to obtain that professional help to work through the intense feelings that have been buried for so long, and those feelings are pretty intense at times, and the therapist is going to help us get through those, and it's no doubt that's a critical part. But also, it is also very important for survivors to have a support group. You got to remember, your therapist can't be there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're there for an hour, maybe 1 or 2 days a week. That's where I was at. But what helped me was the support groups that I belong to as well. As well as my AA groups and all sorts of other things. So, the other thing about the support group is really healing to hear others tell their stories, as it reinforces that you're not alone. So oftentimes, we feel like what we're going through is we're the only ones going through it, that we feel all alone. And being in those support groups will tell you that you're not alone, because you hear stories from other survivors that are just as broken as you are. Maybe some of them are even more broken, but it's important to be in that support group, because you'll hear that you're not alone. Okay, and that in itself can be very healing. Recovery at times can be very difficult. So it's comforting and reinforcing to have several people, in addition to your therapist, to call upon for your help. So there, you could walk out of your therapist's office and feel really good, or you could walk out of your therapist's office and feel tore wide open. But we still have to deal with the world and the things that happen in our life. So having that support group, having that like those accountability partners, having that community of people that you can call and say, hey, I'm really struggling today, it's really critical. And you can't find that in therapy alone. And I think last week, as I talked, a good therapist is going to encourage you to join a support group. Okay, and as a matter of fact, they'll probably have some they can recommend for you. So, what's up, Leo? So it's important that you get that extra support, because you're not always going to have your therapist at your fingertips. Okay. And just the same as choosing a therapist, it's important to choose a self-help group that you feel comfortable with. There's a lot of different types of self-help groups out there, and when you're dealing with sexual abuse or abuse, it's Not all self-help groups are healthy to talk about that stuff with. They don't know how to deal with it. So you want to make sure that you find a group that you're comfortable with. You might not like all the work they have you do or the things that they do, but you got to be comfortable in it. And being comfortable is a little bit different than being against what they're having you do. So make sure you're comfortable. And if you're not, there's a couple options. One, you look for another group, that you can feel comfortable in. And I would suggest too is that you not confront, but in that group, if you're not feeling comfortable, say something. Because maybe there's other people in that group that aren't feeling comfortable either, and they're just afraid to say anything. And sometimes the healthiest thing a group can do is face those things head on and figure out why people aren't feeling comfortable so that they can make the change that people do feel comfortable. Okay? You might, like I said, you might have to try several groups before you find the right one. There's a lot of groups out there, so you need to really do some research and talk to some friends. Like I say, if you're working with a therapist, they're going to be able to recommend some good ones for you right off the bat. But do your research, okay, and find a group that you're going to be comfortable. You're going to want to find a working group too, not one that just sits and talks and complains about what happened to them and their past and the perpetrator. That's not healthy. That's not going to heal you. It's important to talk about that, but that's not where the healing comes from. Okay, so here's some guidelines for finding or choosing an appropriate therapist or coach or life group. Okay, or not life group, or a group. Finding guidelines for choosing an appropriate group. The group members should be generally trying to get better and not always stuck in the blaming, victimized mode. Okay, I just mentioned that a little bit. You want a group that's working and getting better. I don't believe in the word try. You're either doing it or you're not. If you're trying, you're not doing nothing. You're just sitting on your hands. So group members should be generally working to get better and not always stuck in the blaming and victimized role. We need to talk about that a little bit because we need to get rid of it. We need to hear what's going on, but we can't stay stuck in blaming and victim mode. It does no service to anybody, to you, the people in your life. Okay, abuse happens to us and it sucks. It's not right, but we can't do nothing to change the past. The past is done and over with. There's absolutely nothing we can do to change it. All we can do is change today and our future. Okay, and that's by doing some deep work. I know I'm working on a workshop right now for abuse survivors, and it's going to involve. It's probably a 12-week group. It won't be free, but 12-week, and it's going to be work every week. There's guidelines we'll follow, and there's readings we'll do, and things and discussions we'll have in order to move us forward in our life, not keeping us stuck and moving backwards. Okay, and it's important that at least a few of the group members should have been working in a self-help group for over a year. So you want, like myself, if I facilitated, I've been in and out of groups for the last 13 years. So you want to make sure that some people are experienced and working in groups of some kind that are healthy groups, that are groups that are going to move you forward. Okay, not just a bitch session, not just moaning and groaning about him or her or it, what happened, but are going to work with you and help you move forward. Okay, and you got to be willing to hear what people have to say too. Sometimes what I needed to hear was things I didn't want to hear, and it hurt. But it's the only way I was going to move forward. Okay, so you want to make sure there's people in that group that are, at least got a year of recovery or more, and that might be hard to find. The facilitator might be the only one that's got any kind of recovery. Okay, and the group members should speak honestly about how they feel. Now, for men, that's really hard because we've been told we're not allowed to feel. But I'm real big, and we do a lot of workshops. I get people, this 18 inches between your head and your heart is the hardest part to connect. And we can speak intellectually. Matter of fact, most of us are very, very intelligent. And we can speak, our intellect is over the top. But what we want to do is connect our heart. How do you really feel? What's really going on? How do you feel? Okay. We want to make sure that that group's going to let you honestly talk about how you feel without judgment or criticism. Okay, without judgment or criticism. A lot of us won't talk about how we feel because we've been judged and criticized for it in the past. So it's important you find a group that'll let you speak honestly about how you feel without judgment or criticism. And group members should take responsibility for their own lives and the recoveries. I was on the phone today with a kid, and I says, I can't help you until you're ready to help yourself. We have to take responsibility for our own lives and our own recovery. Okay, the past is the past. Things happen that shouldn't have happened to us. It's not right. It hurts. We have a lot of pain inside of us. There's a lot of wounds inside of us. But I can tell you, and there's countless people that know who I am and knew me before and know me now, that having a life beyond your wildest dream, happiness and freedom from the past and from the pains of abuse is absolutely possible. Absolutely possible. But you have to take responsibility for your own lives and your own recovery. What I always say is this: you join a group, or you talk to me, or you talk to somebody, but let's say you come in and you join that group. From that day forward, you can no longer blame your past on your behaviors and your actions. Because now you've been given a choice. Now you have resources. Okay? So what are you going to choose to do? Are you going to choose to continue to live in the past? Or are you going to take the responsibility to move forward? To let the past go? You'll never forget it. And you got to work through it. But you can no longer blame your past for your behaviors and actions today. We have to take responsibility for our own lives and recoveries. And that also is a process. Okay, so there are some tips on how to look for a group, join a group, however you want to see it. Like I say, I'm working on putting one together now. I've just got to figure out with my busy schedule the time and night that I can do it. And once I can get that figured out, then I will definitely launch it. So remember to get a copy of my book, Healing the Wounded Child Within, whether you are a survivor yourself, the spouse of a survivor, or just somebody that's curious. I promise you it will help you gain a better understanding of why people act the way they do. Okay, I promise you'll get a great understanding on why survivors are the way they are, as well as a lot of information about healing and exercises you can do to move forward. Okay, it's critical, absolutely critical. Visit my website, courageoushealers.org. There's some information on there. And if you're interested in finding out more about my transformational life coaching, shoot me an email, courageoushealers@gmail.com, or you can visit changeyourlifestorynow.com website. If you go to courageoushealers.org, there's links on there that'll take you to that website. Or if you also want to learn about the transformational workshops that we are embarking on now, we've just completed our first 3-month workshop, and we're going to start one more in January, and then another one in April. If you want to know more about those, they are life-changing. You can shoot me an email at courageoushealers@gmail.com, and we'll get you the information on that as well. Also, one last thing, January 12th, we're having our spaghetti dinner fundraiser for the Courageous Healers Foundation. If you click on the website, Courageous Healers Foundation, you'll click on the fundraiser. You'll see a link there. Click on that link to the spaghetti dinner. And on that link, you can purchase tickets right there. Papa Dan's in Palm Desert is supplying us with the pasta, the salad, and the bread. We have a lot of good raffle prizes coming in right now. We probably got over about 30 or 30 plus. We got some great silent auction items that we're going to auction off. So there's a lot there. We'd love to have you join us. It's $10 for adults, $6 for children. Pre-sold, I think it's 12 and 8 at the door. And I believe this year it's looking good enough. I think it's looking like we're going to have a live band as well for the evening. So we'd love to have you come out and join us, hear a little bit more about the Courageous Healers Foundation, support the Courageous Healers Foundation. All righty. So next week, join me for, I think, step 7. I'm not sure what that is yet. No, I got an idea. I'm just kidding. Join me for step 7, and we'll continue this conversation. Until then, remember, if nobody tells you they love you today, Randy does. More importantly, God does. Thanks for being a part of my life. Thanks for being a part of my journey. Everybody have a super blessed week. Goodbye.